I know we're on Periscope right now. Facebook's going on right now. And it'll take me a minute to verify that. But folks, if you're joining us, bear with me while I do all the technical stuff to get this going. We will be live within 1 minute. Well, we already are live, technically. If you're hearing me, we are live. But we will be ready to roll within a minute. And there we are on Facebook. So, Jennie, if you want to turn on your Facebook, you're welcome to do that. You can share now if you'd like.
Doing it.
And we will be on Instagram momentarily. All right, we are live on Facebook, Periscope, YouTube, and Instagram Live. Folks, I am Todd Bergen of Todd.LIVE. This is the 4th installment of my new series, Live Video Live, where it is primetime shenanigans. Very little goes into the pre-production, but we have great people in the live stream and social media space on this program 4 nights a week, Monday through Thursday at 8-ish. And if all goes well, and tonight, my very special guest, and I'm going to, let's see here. I've got to do something here. I've got a snafu. Folks, you're going to have to bear with me for a little live video snafu happening here. I need to bring Coach Jennie in on the split screen. And let me see here. It'll be about 2 seconds or a little longer.
It's all good.
And let's see here. There she is.
Hello.
Coach Jennie. And Coach Jennie is a good friend of mine. We met one time in person at at Summit Live 2017 in Los Angeles, California. Jennie lives in Los Angeles, California. I'm in Orange County. I imagine we're going to see each other at the cocktail circuit quite often. She is an empowerment coach, among many things. She has written a book called Hilda. And let me tell you folks something. This book just oozes and drips excellence. Everything about it is fantastic, from the way the cover feels in your hand. It really is, folks. This is an aside, but this is the nicest feeling book I have on this bookshelf of productivity and self-help and entrepreneur books I have. It's just a fantastic book. Paperback. It's on Amazon. I'm sure it's in an electronic format. Jennie will tell us about that in a minute. You can probably get it on Kindle. Everything about this book is just fantastic. Now, the copy I have in my hand, I am missing one thing. Jennie gave this to me in person, and I did not get a signature. And I could just drop dead over the fact that I didn't ask for a signature in person when she was with me. Jennie, how you doing tonight?
I am sensational. Thank you for that. That's such a lovely plug of my beautiful book.
You know what? Your book is beautiful. I've read almost all of it. I have the uncanny knack for reading about 3/4 of a book and then getting distracted with life. And I have like 3 or 4 books piled on my bedside table, all that are almost done. And things start to happen. And then it's getting back to it. But it's a wonderful book. And it's so true. We all have an inner Hilda. So for the folks, why don't you tell us what the inner Hilda is?
Yeah, so Hilda is the name that I have given to the inner critic. It's also been known as your gremlin, your inner gremlin, all these different things. I humanized it, gave her a ridiculous name. Apologies to anybody named Hilda. And it's that voice in your head who's constantly spewing nonsense and telling you how much you suck and trying to convince you that you can't do what you really want, that you shouldn't be wanting those things in the first place, that you don't know enough, and that you don't really want to grow. You don't really want that next big thing. And so I call Hilda's nonsense BS beliefs. And the book is about unpacking all of that.
And it's a big part of your business. How long did it take you to write your book?
13 months from the time I decided to write the book. But that's not terribly fair because coming up with the concept of Hilda is something years in the making. Working with all of my different clients on it. The first time Hilda came up, I had a client who had like the third or fourth session. She was like, I'm so tired of calling it my inner critic. I'm like, I know, it feels like such a fancy title for such a bitchy voice. So we need a silly name. And so Hilda has been something for a long time. And yeah, if you see the imagery there, the Hilda.
She doesn't look happy.
Showing off. Yeah, the likeness of Hilda is kind of that girl I hated in high school.
Right.
You know, who you wanted her approval, but you kind of hated everything she did. That's my Hilda. That girl I hated in high school was not named Hilda. That would have been too on the nose.
That was going to be my next question. And I think I knew the answer to that.
Yeah.
So
I get that.
Tell me about your live streaming endeavors. You do a lot of live streaming, and I think you go through BeLive onto Facebook. How's that going for you?
It's good. I either do BeLive or Ecamm Live,
okay.
And it depends on what my purpose is. I use BeLive primarily when I want to have an interactive conversation because of being able to promote comments. That changes the game. It truly changes the game. Being able to show the comments in the lower third, people comment more. They stay longer. They get that nice little yummy ego stroke that their name and pictures there and their comments there. And so I've been using BeLive a lot for anything where I want that engagement, but for anything I want to do that's a little slick and professional. And I say that with a grain of salt because I'm talking to the great Todd Bergen.
I don't know about the great, but thank you. I don't know about that.
But for me, I love Ecamm Live because it allows me to add like pictures and videos and graphics and things like that. So I'll use that when I'm trying to put together a more professional presentation. But if you know me at all, professional is not probably the word that you'd use to describe me. So that's okay.
I don't know about that. I think you're fantastic. And I think that, look, I haven't worked with you as a client, and I haven't worked with you we haven't collaborated on anything other than doing a podcast and doing this live video here. But if the look and feel and everything that's obviously gone into this book tells me anything about you, you're everything about the word professional.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And you were mentioning earlier, yes, it's available in print. It's available in Kindle. It's also available in audiobook. I'm actually one of those audiobook snobs that only likes to listen to it if the author read it. So I can read the book to you if you would like me to. And it's quite fun if you speed me up onto chipmunk speed. It's really fun.
Yeah. Awesome. So what else do you have going on right now? I know that there's a South by Southwest. I'll go ahead if you want to talk about that while we're at the top of the hour.
Yeah, that'd be so awesome. So thank you for that. I had this crazy little idea to say, why don't I go to South by Southwest and take some of the coolest people I know with me? Like, what would that look like? And I have been live streaming primarily on Facebook Live since the demise of Blab. Facebook Live is done. I mean, Facebook is where my people are. So I am not as well-versed with, we're in like 3 other places right now, right? We're on YouTube, we're on Instagram, and we're on Periscope. So hi, everybody
Facebook.
Out there.
So 4. We're on 4.
We're 4 places.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't normally do all that. But on Facebook Live, what I have learned is how to build a community and how to actually make money using Facebook Live. Like you press a blue button that says go live and poof, you now have the ability to connect with your audience. It's the most magical thing and so few people are doing it. I wanted to talk about the Hilda that is holding people back from doing it and holding them back from making offers on there because they're afraid they'll come off salesy and all that stuff. But I felt like that was incomplete. It was only a piece of the story. So I called out on my friends. I called Ross Brand, who you were speaking to earlier this week, Karen Graves, who I don't know if you've had the pleasure yet,
and Monique
Johnson. We have to make these introductions. You have to know these women. They're amazing. So I called all 3 of them individually and said, hey, would you be interested in, I'm proposing this panel, would you be interested in coming along for the crazy ride? And all 3 of them, they didn't even take a step. They were like, I'm in, let's go. And Ross was so sensational. He's like, I'm honored. Of course, let's do this. And after that, it's become a very collaborative process. All 4 of us have just hunkered down together. Ross actually found another opportunity that we're putting ourselves in the running for at Social Fresh. And Yeah, so right now we're in the midst of the voting period, which is where we're begging for votes everywhere. So if you would please, you guys, go over to the South by Southwest panel picker. I know it's a ridiculous name. I'm sure my boy Ross in Facebook will drop the link. It's at livestreamuniverse.com/SXSW.
Now, I asked Ross the other night, and he said he didn't think it was the case, but is there any way for you to monitor the voting in any form that you know that you're doing well or somebody else is doing better? Or
the only thing that we have that we can visibly see in terms of the South by Southwest voting is how many comments we have and the quality of those comments, as well as if people are clicking up, like upvoting the actual comments. But in terms of the number of votes we're getting, we have absolutely no data or no way to access that data. And I totally understand why. I mean, from a Hilda perspective, if we did have that, it would probably drive Hilda's crazy, thinking, oh my gosh, what if that person's a little ahead of us, or we only have this many votes? So it's probably a good thing for our mental health. But no, right now there's no way to tell if we're leading or not. But here's the other piece of the puzzle that's kind of challenging. All of the voting, we got 3 weeks of voting, and we're doing all kinds of promotion and all kinds of thank you videos and live stream series to do all this work. All that voting is 30% of the decision.
Wow.
So the other 70% of the decision is in the hands of the decision makers over at South by Southwest. So it truly is one of those where we'll do the best we frickin' can and see where it goes, but a lot of it's out of our hands.
Absolutely. And that makes it interesting. Now, when does it end? Do you know? The voting?
Yes, the voting ends on August 25th.
August 25th. So we got over 2 weeks to go still.
2 more weeks. Yeah. So if you are sick and tired of us promoting, unfriend us now. No.
Yeah. No, I think it's great. And I think, anybody who wants to see you guys do it, I voted. I mean, I remember when Ross sent me the link. I mean, I did it right that moment, just took care of it. I don't remember if I left a comment or not. I know I liked it, but I think I left a comment, but it looked like there was a lot of action on yours and others right out of the gate.
Yeah, it really is. I just have to say it. Ross is leading this charge. Like, all 4 of us are working really hard. I'm not putting down any of our work, but Ross is really leading this charge because he understands how to really promote across all social media platforms, and we're kind of following his lead. So that's been really kind and awesome. And of course, him being Mr. Livestream Universe, he knows more people in the live stream community than the 3 of us combined. So it's been really exciting to see the live streaming community support us and be so supportive of what we're trying to do. I bring my coaching community. Karen brings a coaching community, and then Monique brings a video community. So it's slightly different. It's been very exciting. Oh, and I see Ross and Karen are here. Hi, guys.
So are you going to go to South by Southwest whether or not you win this, or is it only if you guys win it?
My intention is to go whether or not we win it. But if we win it, then all 4 of us get all access passes. And I cannot afford to give all 3 of them all access passes. I'm just going to say it. They're kind of pricey. They're kind of pricey, but yeah, my intention is to go no matter what. And hopefully, we'll be able to host this panel, but that'll just be the beginning of things. We've talked about the fact that if all 4 of us are going out there, yes, collectively, this is an opportunity for us, but individually it is too. And so we want to make sure that 3 of us are supporting each individual in whatever their pursuits are. So I'm hoping to have some meetups and book signings of Hilda.
Nice.
And supporting whatever the other 3 want to do as well.
Is it nutty? Would it be nutty for me to get a plane ticket just to come get my book signed? It'd probably be easier just to drive up to LA, wouldn't it?
It would be probably easier. We could just grab brunch in Hollywood or something. But if you want to come to Austin, that totally works.
I'd love to go to South by Southwest, SXSW.
Yeah, I've been practicing saying that. It's not easy.
It's not easy. So have you been before?
I have not. I looked at going. I talked to Brian Wallace just like a month before South by this year, and I looked at going, and I was just too late to really get in on everything. And so this year I started early.
Nice. Hey, let's do a shout out to some people we have with us tonight. And I don't know if everyone's still with us, but Ross Brand is with us. Stephanie Charlie is with us. Jen Nelson, Chad Neal. Chad Neal's a friend of mine from Huntington, West Virginia, where I grew up. Jen Nelson. Let's see, did I already say Jen Nelson? Karen Graves. And I think there's one question here. When does the voting close? We've already covered that one, but thank you all for joining and commenting. A few people over on Instagram. I got one on Periscope. Periscope is slow. Have you ever done anything on Periscope?
I did 5 periscopes total in my lifetime, 5 scopes. It was my first week, and I started Periscope and Blab the same week. And on Periscope, I was kind of farting in the wind, but on Blab, people were showing up and listening. Blab won. Unfortunately, Periscope lives on and Blab doesn't. So maybe I chose wrong.
Isn't that weird that Periscope lives on? And, but you know, there's some good things about Periscope, but overall, I think the viewership used to be really good on there. It's just gone away.
Yeah, I've definitely heard that. And I've also heard that if you were a hardcore Periscoper in the beginning, then Periscope is still a good place to be, but it's kind of hard to break in at this point. I don't know if that's really true or naysaying, but it's been enough to just keep me focused on Facebook. But Facebook Live's rise probably really took a big bite out of Periscope's pie, don't you think? It's so easy now to be on Facebook Live. There's so many cool third-party tools to make it interactive and add other people like you're doing right now. Like you're puzzling this together. I'm guessing you're Wirecasting?
Wirecast. Yep. And Switchboard Live. So I send one signal out from my computer. So my computer only has the task of one signal. So I could go to multiple places with Wirecast, but it's going to send a separate signal to each place, and it's going to run my CPU just nutty. Right now I'm at about 42%. And I'm only saying that because some of our guests, I know Ross was asking me the other day what my CPU usage when I'm using Wirecast and all this stuff. I'm at 43% steady right now. But if I were using Wirecast to send the signal to all these different places, I'd probably be pushing 100%. So Switchboard, they're kind enough for an expensive fee. They take the signal and then they break it up and send it to everyone else, except for Instagram. Instagram there's no API for Instagram. It's not opened up. So I have to do it an old-fashioned way. I have 2 iPads pointed at each other.
Now, but Instagram is really new, Instagram Live.
It is, and you know, who knows if they'll ever open the API. I'd love it. It gets really today, the last couple of days, Instagram's really been dead, but normally I get great results on Instagram. People talk, people stay. The downside with the Instagram, the way I'm doing it is that what you hear me say comes about 8 seconds before you see my mouth say it, because there's a delay, because the video is delayed, but the audio is not. I have a feed of the audio going directly in, so they're hearing that in real time, but the video is delayed. So despite that, it usually gets good results. The last couple of days, though, it's been a ghost town. So go figure, you know? You
never know. Now, I always think of you as Mr. Snapchat. The fact that we're not snapping right now has got my head blown. Are you done with Snapchat? Is it dead to you?
It's not dead to me, but I rarely do content there anymore. And even on Instagram stories, the micro content, I don't know. I got started there and I really like it, and I need to do it more. It's fun and it works, but Snapchat's, I think, Are you still on Snapchat?
No, I'm not. Snapchat was not something I could get down with. I tried. And my niece, I have a 16-year-old niece who was just visiting for a couple of weeks from the summer. And she was cracking me up because she took a selfie 2-3 times an hour. And she was taking all these selfies. I'm like, what are you taking selfies of? And she said, it's how I communicate, Aunt Jennie. And I thought, okay, I really don't get Snapchat. But she was trying to teach me, and it's still right on over my head.
How old is she?
16.
Well, you know what? They use it. My daughter uses it. She loves Instagram stories and she loves Snapchat. So, you know, there's value there if you want to reach people that are up and coming into college age. They're all using it, but
totally.
Snapchat, there's no discoverability like Instagram. I don't know. It's just, and you can only be so many places. There's only so many things you can do in your day.
You are not kidding. You are not kidding. So yeah, I am not Snapchatting, and I forget about Instagram whenever I remember it. I love it. I love Instagram. I love posting pictures and all these things. But like you said, you have to remember these things and stay on top of them. So I've just doubled down with Facebook. Specifically, Facebook groups have always been incredibly good to me, and being able to do live streaming into Facebook groups. I know that's kind of old news at this point, but it's still miraculous to me as somebody who has built her business on Facebook groups, being able to have these private Facebook Live, like fireside chat experiences with my clients and prospective clients. It's the best thing ever.
I love fireside chats. One of the first things I did when I got into live video was I put a screen with a YouTube video of a fire behind me, and no one was watching me. And I called it Fireside Chat. And I do it even in the morning or something when it's not even a time for a fire. But,
Nice.
you know, I didn't have anybody follow me. It was just experimenting and having fun. But Fireside Chats work. People love that kind of stuff.
They totally do. I like that. I don't actually call them that, but I should. I like that a lot.
And you could put a screen behind you and play there's YouTube videos that have like, you know, 3 hours of fire, and that's all it is.
That's perfect.
Of a fireplace. And you can use it all you want. It's, you know, the guy who did it, he lets anyone use it. He did it. I don't think you could attach a dollar amount to it with it in the background. But if you're doing free stuff on Facebook, there it is.
Free. Mm-hmm.
So what else is going on in your life right now?
Well, I think I was saying before we started the call, I recently relocated to a new apartment.
Yeah.
I'm still in Los Angeles, but I'm so much happier. We're in Chinatown. Do you ever make it to Chinatown up here?
I've seen the entrance, and I've never gone in. I used to work at 1 Wilshire on Grand and Wilshire right at the corner. And
right around the corner,
Yeah.
but then you commute. And so as soon as you're done with your day, you're out of here.
Yep.
I am loving Chinatown. I'm loving everything about it. It's so fun. We're right down the hill from Dodger Stadium, which is really quite fun. So we get a fireworks show every Friday when there's a home game.
Right.
And it's just, we're having a really good time settling in here and making this a home. When we moved to LA, I was planning on it being a temporary situation. You know, we were planning to move to San Diego. That was a dream. And my wife got a job in Los Angeles. So we'll start here and we'll move. I can't believe I'm saying this, but Los Angeles has really gotten into our heart. We really love it here.
You know, Los Angeles is a good town. A lot of people that are from here, and particularly in Orange County, hate it. But I don't get the hate. Yeah, there's a lot of bad areas. And yeah, there's a lot you could grumble about. But it's such a remarkable city overall, and if you do it right, there's not a lot of places better to be. And the thing about it, you saying it, what makes it so important is I think you've lived in New York City, haven't you?
I've lived a few places.
Yeah, you've lived a bunch of places.
We just moved when we came here a couple of years ago. It was from New York City. We were in Brooklyn for 3 years, and 3 years before that, we were in Manhattan. So we did New York City, and before that, we were in Boston, and before that, we were in Washington, D.C. So I really have lived in a lot of big cities, and each one has their own charms, and I'm still a Red Sox fan. Don't worry. But, I definitely, I really love the vibe of Los Angeles. And I had all these stereotypes in my head of what it would be, which I had for Brooklyn as well. And I feel like this is more home than any other place I've been. It's really nice.
Now, your partner, where is she from?
Originally from South Florida.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
wow. Okay, so between the two of you, you have a lot of different experiences with places, and Los Angeles is the place. And I think people that come from other places really dig Los Angeles.
Yes, I agree. Well, especially people who just suffered 15 Northeast winters, 15 of those in a row. We were definitely ready for some cool things. I think I experienced my first earthquake today, though. I didn't feel anything, but all of a sudden the TV and the shelves were kind of a shaking. It was just like a little tremor. I think it was an aftershock from an earthquake yesterday, but that was kind of a quick moment. As a girl from the East Coast, that's scary.
We're due. I've felt them, but it's been a long time. And I used to feel them a lot. I haven't felt one in a long time. And usually like blinds, you notice the blinds move. Or if you've got a glass shower door, that slides in front of another glass pane, you can hear, even if it's shut or open, doesn't matter. When the earth shakes a little bit, you might not feel it, but you hear those shower doors kind of ding, 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 ding for a minute.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Used to feel them all the time. It's just been years. So I kind of feel like we're due. And I bought all these lights that are on tripods, and I have sandbags that I just keep putting off dealing with. And I know that if it happens, these things are going to go flying all over the place because they're kind of top heavy.
Sure.
So
we got to get the sandbags going.
I do. I've got to get the sandbags going. So what else has been on your mind lately? And also I want to invite the crowd to, if there's a lot of people that watch that I know Coach Jennie. So if you all have any questions, if there's anything you want to talk about, just leave a comment and we'll address it. But Jennie, what else do you have going on this summer and coming into the fall?
Well, in terms of business, I have shifted a lot of my business. I have a new program called Get Out of Your Own Way. It's a coaching program for primarily entrepreneurs who have done all the how to that they could possibly tolerate. They have tons, they've probably got a whole folder filled with information products that are collecting cyber dust, but they just cannot seem to get off the starting line and implement everything they know they need to be doing. So this program is all about helping to dig through all the different Hilda-isms. That's what I call her BS beliefs. All those different Hilda-isms that are holding them back, and actually call BS on them one by one. More importantly, give them the tools and techniques they need to stop freaking sabotaging themselves and squandering their potential. So I'm really excited about that. That came out in mid-April, so it's about 4 months old, and that program's really starting to blossom. So that's the big thing happening this summer professionally. My vacation, I went to Disney World.
Okay.
Even though we live near Disneyland for vacation, because I'm married to, I think they're called Disney Files, these
Right.
hardcore Disney fans, South Florida girl. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of my summer. It's been a lot of work and a lot of play. How about you?
Oh gosh. July was a big giant cluster, and it's one of the reasons why I'm kind of going gangbusters on the live video right now is I need to get back in the saddle. July, well, I never really got in the saddle, but I was on my way to really getting some momentum and getting things going. And I went to World Domination Summit in Portland,
have you
Oregon.
done that before?
I've done it twice. This year was my second time. It's awesome. Yeah, Portland, one, is a great city. So if you've been, you know that. If you haven't been, put it on your bucket list, on your short bucket list. It's a lot of fun. If you like to have beers, if you like food, if you like being outside and you just like city streets and an interesting scene, Portland has all that. It's a great place. So I went to that. I was up there for 8 days, and I had a great time. Spent a lot of time with my good friend Mike Vardy, who is known as the Productivityist.
I know Mike.
You know Mike?
I love Mike.
Yeah, he's fantastic, and he's just hitting it out of the ballpark. And he did gosh, what do they call it? It's not an activity, but they have the main stagers who do the big event, and then they have the events right below that.
Like
the
breakout sessions?
It's the word they use is academy. And you pay for it, and they're usually like $29, I think, per head. And you've got to have an all-access ticket before you get offered to pay the $29 to go see who they've chosen for the academies. And I saw, no, I didn't see Mike. If I would have known he was doing one, I would have gotten him. I think Jonathan Fields was speaking during Mike's, and I had signed up for Jonathan already. But I saw Jonathan Fields, I saw Jeff Goins, I saw. Oh boy, who else Yes, Marsha. Marsha Shandur, I think is her last name.
I don't know her.
And I saw Sean Ogle from Location 180, and he's just phenomenal. But that was an amazing event. I love Portland, but it was exhausting. We were there for 8 days, I think. And a lot of beers, a lot of pub food, and a lot of sitting in concert hall chair type things. But, so that was good. And then I went to Kentucky and South Carolina. We fly to Kentucky and rent a car and spend 6 days with family there. And then we drive to South Carolina, do the same and come back.
Oh, nice.
And so, yeah, so July was a big, giant cluster of travel. And so, August is get back to work and really, try to crush it through the end of the year. So
it's kind of nice though, if you vacation and do all those things in July. Most people do it in August.
Yes.
So when you come back and you start crushing it in August, you're getting like a jump on the people that are doing like the second new year in September.
Exactly.
At least in the coaching field. And I feel like the live streaming field is the same thing. Like a lot of live streamers are kind of quiet right now.
Right.
And a few of them are kind of popping up and bubbling up, but not as many. We found that kind of interesting, the timing of that, because 3 weeks in August is a strange time for South by Southwest to be having all this voting, given that August is usually the quietest time around social media. So kind of interesting. Although I don't know that there is anymore a quiet time around anything.
Somebody's always working. And, a lot of the thought leaders that I pay attention to, they really talk about like tweeting in the middle of the night and doing Instagram in the middle of the night when no one else is doing it. You're reaching people when other people are sleeping, and it's a good thing. And maybe it is, but you've got to take some time off, right?
Yeah, see that pushes me over the top. I don't look for work-life balance, but I need some work-life harmony. You know what
Right.
I mean? I need it to not completely bleed into every single minute. Yeah, that sounds and that gamification thing, that's such a turn off for me. Where you're trying to gamify, well, maybe if I post this tweet when everybody's sleeping, that kind of thing. I don't have time for that kind of thinking.
No,
I just don't.
I suppose if you're up and it's quality, I don't really have a problem with it. If you are gaming it, but I mean,
Well, I'm not judging other people, but I'm
no,
just
and
saying
I get what
personally, I
you're.
don't have
I
time
totally
for it.
get what you're saying, but you need to have some time off. And who are you reaching in the middle of the night? You're getting Europeans, which you know what? If you're trying to go for that, hey, knock yourself out. That's when they're there, right?
I guess, but the time zone thing is so strange. I have a few people in my community who live in Australia. And, as I'm wrapping up my day, they're starting theirs if they're up early enough. And they're still really active in my Facebook group, or they're showing up live to some of my midday live streams, which I know it's 2 in the morning there. So people will consume the content that they're looking for when it really
True.
matters to them. You know what I mean?
Now, do you ever host any live events like off the computer, like in a pizza pub or where people can actually come to LA and hang out with Coach Jennie? You ever done
I
anything like that?
do. I've
Yeah.
only done one in LA. I've done quite a few in New York. I'm still learning because, now that I'm 3,000 miles away from everybody that I knew, I'm building a new community here. But yeah, I have held one, and it's probably crazy, but as an apartment dweller, I love to host them in my home, but not like in my actual apartment, like in the clubhouse of our apartment building. And so I host this event. It's called Audacity Camp. We don't actually camp because for me, camping is only a 3-star hotel. I'm just going to
Okay.
say
Right.
it.
Right.
But camp from the idea of unconferencing. Have you ever been to an unconference?
I have not.
The coolest thing ever. An unconference doesn't have a list of speakers, it doesn't have an agenda. The conference content is actually co-created by the participants who show up in the moment. So what an unconference does is everybody comes in and we're like, okay, so what do you guys want to talk about? We write a bunch of ideas on the board, we vote, and then maybe there's 3 topics. Okay, cool. Topic 1 is going to be in this room. Topic 2 is going to be in this room. Topic 3 is over here in this hallway. Go. And anybody goes to wherever they want. Ross says camping is having to walk up steps before getting to my hotel room. I'm with you, Ross. Absolutely. But I'm using the word camp because unconferencing, or open space technology, as it's known by its fancy name, is often used in technology conferences. I've actually applied it to a personal development experience, and it's game changing. So there's actually been a few of my my tribe members saying, "Hey, when are we having the next camp?" And I think it'll be early 2018, given everything that I'm tackling this fall. But it's definitely something I want to do. And when I do, you have to make the drive up.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, have
I'll
to come
do
see
it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. How many people do you take in?
It's usually a pretty small crowd, under 30 people. I've done these as small as 3 people. I've done them everywhere in between. I like to keep it nice and intimate of an experience because I ask questions that are none of my freaking business. That really dig into the soul of you and really, pull things out. If you've read my book, I know if you read some of my book, that's the kind of questions I ask, and then some. I don't really sugarcoat anything.
So I couldn't come there and live stream the whole thing. There
No.
are going to be people there that are like, wait a minute. No.
That wouldn't go over very well. But you can certainly at least come up and live stream some of the cocktail hour that we do before or after.
Sure. Well, let's see here. I thought we had another comment. Maybe we didn't. Thank you everybody for being here. So, and I was thinking, I know what I was going to say. Unconferencing. That's kind of the way this show, that's the way I think of this show. Like, we show up and we let the conversation go where it might go. And if people leave comments, then we address them and maybe even go in depth into them. So anybody on Facebook particularly, that's where we have the most people right now. And in fact, we might only have 2 that are with us right now because I'm in there and you're in there. So
right.
it's saying 4. So kind of a quiet evening on Thursday night. We have 2 on Periscope And we've got, I don't know if I can't even tell if anybody's on Instagram Live anymore, but anybody that wants to contribute to the conversation or ask Coach Jennie any questions, feel free to do so. So, Jennie, what is on your mind as far as live streaming? I mean, are you going to try anything new? Is there anything that piques your interest? I know that when I talked to you last, we went to a Gordon Biersch, or we went to someplace, you and me and Ross Brand, for dinner during Summit Live, and you really seemed to think that Facebook Live was just kind of like the bread and butter as far as the live video goes, because of what you talked about earlier with the Be Live. You can put the people's names up with their avatar and really bring people in. But is there anything going on right now that interests you that you haven't been using?
You know, it's a really good question. I am interested in some of these more like Crowdcast TV. Okay. I think it's crowdcast.io. Right. I believe that is. I looked at Crowdcast right after the Blab days, where you could have up to 4 people there, and it was really highly interactive, and you can stream to Facebook or not. I left that because I finally got comfortable live streaming just me to the camera. I had a real block against that when I was leaving the Blab days. I was so used to having 3 other people to talk with me, and that every time I would live stream solo, I felt like I was talking at people. See, that's the con of not really embracing Periscope. So now I really am more interested in some of those platforms. The other thing I'm interested in is just getting more skilled at being able to have multimedia happening. I watch some of you guys, oh, you kill it. You got your lower thirds going. You've got your questions. You've got these images, these graphics. You're able to, I'm looking at Facebook. I see that you've slid out of the image on Facebook. It's just me. All of that. I cannot do that seamlessly.
You can't do that in Be Live?
I'm sure you can. Be Live does have those buttons, but I have not learned how to do that without looking like an amateur.
Well, you know what? Tonight, you just have to practice. Tonight, I realized on my solo image of you, which I'm going to bring up right again, since when I did not have the lower thirds on there, and so normally I don't tinker with my broadcast during the broadcast. Last night I did, and I accidentally turned the mic off for about a minute. And so things happen, right? But I kind of feel like by working it, you learn it. And so tonight, when I realized I didn't have a lower third when I brought you in solo, I turned off what's called on Wirecast. You have a choice for auto live. So anything I do, any layer or element within the layer that I select will automatically go live. So in order to give lower thirds on your solo shot, I turned off the auto live, which I didn't have turned off last night, and I was able to go in your solo shot while you were talking and put the lower thirds on there. And the only drawback to that is I'm turning my head to the side, and while you're talking to me, people can see me screwing with the computer on my left. So there are some drawbacks when you do the production by yourself. If you have a production crew, they're going to solve those problems for you, and you don't have to look off to the side. But I'm doing it on my own, and that's part of what I guess I sell as far as me as a professional is I'm learning how to do the production on my own while I'm alive, and taking these risks that I might turn the mic off or whatever. And by making these mistakes, I won't make them again, or I'll at least be cognizant of the fact that mistake could exist, and I'll take precautions to try not to make that mistake again. I still may make it, but so that's what I would suggest with the Be Live. You're so into Be Live, and the features are so good, and I know that even though I've only used it one time, a long time ago, before it had all the stuff it has now, but you ought to play with it and not worry about it. Your crowd's not going to care, and you just apologize and smile and say, hey, I'm working this and trying to get better with it.
Well, and that's the thing. So my crowd does not care, because my work isn't about, I'm not teaching people how to use live stream video, right? That's not my thing.
Right.
But so my crowd really doesn't care, and production values have never been terribly high on my importance list. It's been much more important that I spend time figuring out what I'm going to say instead of figuring out how perfect my lighting is going to be. That's always been kind of how I roll. But I do now want to get better. I did play around once with Switcher Studio and having multiple cameras, multiple angles going for a live stream, and being able to switch that out. Now, I wasn't doing it alone. Monique Johnson and I were kind of playing and fiddling with it when she was visiting LA once. And it was really polished and kind of easy to handle. I would love to play with some of that. One of the things that I'm really looking to do is more presentations where it's not just me talking at the camera, but me having some flip charts and me having different things to talk about as if you were at a workshop with me. Because in a workshop with me, I do not stand still for a little spot on the camera.
Right.
I'm all over the place. And it'd be really nice to be able to take live streaming to that experience. I haven't had the imagination or I haven't set up the opportunity for myself yet to do that. And I want to definitely make that happen.
Baby steps. And don't let your inner don't let Hilda influence taking the baby steps.
I swear you could sell my book better than I can. I love that about you.
No. But you know what? I'm a big fan. I think that what you talk about in this book is spot on. And I think, you know what? Even though you're the professional at battling the inner Hilda still gets you from time to time. It's just impossible.
No question. You know, it's really funny. One of the things people who have finished the book have said, I thought we were going to kill Hilda. Like, no, I thought so too. When I started writing the book, I thought I was on a mission to teach you how to slay Hilda. Yeah. And I came to realize we don't want to do that. First of all, if you've ever met somebody who has no Hilda, they're not a lot of fun to be around. They're kind of narcissistic. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a whole nother level.
I would figure that the person without a Hilda is just a dead person. They're lying there on the ground or in a
pretty
casket,
darn
right?
close,
I mean,
right?
How do you not have a Hilda?
But Hilda, here's the thing. Hilda gets loud and conniving and a little more clever at how she screws with you when you're doing something that matters. So what I like to tell people is whenever Hilda's loud, that's a celebration. That means you're onto something. You're doing something that is exciting.
And I remember that from the book. Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
When, and it's just like anytime there's a big challenge, that's the one you have to overcome, right?
Exactly. You don't worry and second guess yourself when you're thinking, oh, well, should I watch House of Cards or Game of Thrones tonight? You know what I mean? Like, that's not the big discussion. But when you're like, okay, should I really put myself out there and become visible and be bold or share an opinion about something I stand for or stand against that's contrary to my field? Hilda's going to get really loud because you're about to shake the world by its shoulders. And she does not like that. If you would just listen to her, you would be snug and safe in your cozy little comfort zone and all would be fine.
Yeah.
But I don't want us to listen to her anymore.
So tell me this, it kind of gets me curious because I love to know what people are doing in social media. So if you were to zero out Facebook and Facebook Live, which is where you spend your most time, it seems like, where do you go next? What do you like out there in social media? And I know you said you liked Instagram a lot, so I figure that's going to be your answer. But
yeah, I like Instagram a lot as well. It's not going to be Snapchat. I mean, I just
Right.
can't. It's just awful. I want to say Twitter, but Twitter has become such a negative place as of late. You know, there's even in the coaching world, like, politics aside, even in the coaching world, it's become such a negative place where people are tearing each other down. So honestly, the one that I'm looking at now that I really want to embrace is the oft forgotten LinkedIn.
Ooh.
Because
okay.
LinkedIn was the first social media platform that I spent any time on before it was considered a social media platform. I started my business in 2006, like pre-Facebook, pre-Twitter. And so LinkedIn, I've got well over 1,000 connections there.
That's awesome.
Every connection is somebody I've actually met at some point. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean that we're long lost friends, but they're people I've actually met at conferences or whatever. I was so good for years until Facebook of connecting with everybody I met on LinkedIn. And I feel like it's just this pile of potential sitting over there that I haven't dusted off in a while. And recently I've been realizing, I should be putting my articles over there. When I publish a blog post or something, I should be putting it over there. All week this week, Ross has been, again, leading the charge for the South by Southwest thing. He's posting over on LinkedIn. I'm like, why do I never think of LinkedIn? So I think that's the next big focus.
I don't think that's a bad decision for your particular business. I think, and you know what, not to say that my business wouldn't do well there. It probably would do very well there. I just, how you feel about Snapchat? That's how I feel about LinkedIn. I logged in the other day. I mentioned this to Professor Nez last night because I think he said he was using LinkedIn a little more, but I logged in there and I logged in strictly to accept a friend request from hackapreneur Justin Wu, who's also up in Los Angeles. I don't know if you met him at Summit Live. He was there briefly, but
met him.
He's just crushing it. And look, it's kind of like if Gary Vaynerchuk or Joel Comm or something sends you a Facebook or a LinkedIn hello, I'm going to go over there and yes, I'm going to accept it and we're going to be buddies, but then I'm going to exit out as fast as I can and leave it and forget about it again.
Yes.
It's just one of those platforms that I can't figure out. And you know what's interesting is we all have that platform. We all have something that is just, laying in a big batch of worms would be more exciting than playing with that particular platform. For me, it's LinkedIn. For you, it's Snapchat. We all have our place that it just makes us cringe.
Well, and I was hearing Professor Nez earlier this week. He's kind of been everywhere this week. I heard him on one of the shows talking about LinkedIn Live becoming a thing. We don't have it yet.
Yeah.
So I'm very interested to see where that goes, because I think it could put LinkedIn back on the map. And for a coach, I think it's definitely a place that I need to pay attention to. So I need to learn. Everything's in a different place now. Everything's different. I constantly am getting notifications to wish somebody a happy birthday. I need to figure out how to turn that crap off. But I really think that it's
turn that crap off. I love it.
Oh my gosh.
I love it.
It's too much. But no, I think that there's a lot of untapped potential for really reconnecting with a lot of people that I've not necessarily friended on Facebook since. So I'm excited about that. I don't know the how yet, but I'm pretty resourceful. The University of YouTube will hook me up.
Absolutely. Speaking of YouTube, do you do anything? Do you post your content over there when you're done broadcasting it?
I do. Not consistently. I'm working on the consistency piece. I typically do it in big old batches, because I'll be like, oh, I haven't posted these last 27 live streams over there.
And then you got to spend a whole day doing it.
Exactly. So I am actually shopping around for a assistant to take care of that for me, because it's definitely time to unload some of these things. I don't want to have a virtual assistant actually be my voice on social media, but that is definitely an area I do not need to be spending my time on, of moving things over to YouTube. I have not tinkered with YouTube Live.
Okay.
I don't have a good reason not to, but to answer your earlier question, I am interested in understanding YouTube Live a little bit more. Tell me about your experiences with it.
So far, my experience is very limited. I broadcast there because I can. I don't want to say I take it less seriously than the other ones, but right now, if somebody comments on Instagram Live, I can see it. If somebody comments on Periscope or Facebook, I can see it. I'm not monitoring YouTube because I'd have to have another device out. And quite honestly, I don't get any comments on there, or if I get them, they're nonsensical. So I do it because I can. And what I like about the way I'm doing my broadcasting is because I'm sending a signal directly to YouTube, it's going in HD. I'm not having to download a degraded quality video from Facebook and then put it on YouTube, because then those don't look very good. I mean, it's better than not doing it at all, but they're not HD and they're greatly diminished in both audio and video quality. But I kind of look at it like, one, I can do it, so why not do it? And then two, what I notice is when I go in I don't know where my phone I'm using to monitor comments over here. I wasn't just going crazy all of a sudden looking left and right, but it's like I went blind all of a sudden. I'm going in every direction. I was looking for my phone. When I go into my phone and I go into YouTube and I look at my videos, and I think when I go look at other people's videos, all the videos that were streamed in show up first. They're prominent. So, in that regard, so they're giving that some prominence, and I'm sure there's some prominence in various ways that I'm not privy to. And the other thing is everyone is going live video. And so I feel like, you know what, if I want my account to have like, an A+ from YouTube, even if I only have 161 followers, which I think is what I had today, they see that I'm trying. I'm posting long 1 hour or longer content. It's being streamed directly in high definition. I go back later, I screw with the tags, I tailor it and try to make it nice. And I feel like in the long run, like 2 or 3 years out, all this work I'm putting into it, it'll pay off. Now, how will it pay off? I'm not exactly sure yet, but
gotcha.
It's got to be good. I mean, Google's the #1 search engine. They own the #2, which is YouTube. So why not?
Yeah. And I'm on the #3 with Amazon. So these are important details. I need to pay attention to #2 as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, look at, if I hadn't built what I had built, would I be on YouTube? No. I mean, maybe I'd do it occasionally, but Facebook's where it's at right now. Let's face
It
it.
is. It just is. I mean, there's no other social media platform where billions of people voluntarily visit 37 times an hour. Like
Yeah,
the
it's
other
crazy.
things we don't, we visit those other places, but not nearly as much. I definitely go to YouTube. I call it the University of YouTube. It's basically where I go for any information. I think I use YouTube more than Google now,
Right.
to get answers to anything. Like, how do you get a soft boiled egg to, who was that guy in that thing that I think I saw over at Blue Jam in Hollywood? Was that an actor I know?
Right.
I go to YouTube for all of that stuff. I guess it's not really a live streaming platform, but it's another social media platform that I paid attention to for a hot minute. And then I was like, this isn't for me. This is kind of my trend, Todd. I'm like, oh, that looks sexy. I'll try it for a week. And then I get sick of it and I move on way too fast, like with Periscope. And this one is Anchor.
Ah, yeah.
So I saw a Medium post today saying that Anchor has this new tool where you can do a voice recording. It transcribes it. Of course, you have to fix it depending on how quickly you talk. I talk fast.
Right.
And you fix it up a little bit, but then it'll give you that visual reading while you talk, and it creates one of those videos that's like just basically pretty captions. I tested it today, and my tribe was really into it. I got a lot of private messages saying, "Ooh, you could do this, you could do that with it." So I'm kind of intrigued by that. They have where you can have live callers call into your radio show on Anchor. Have you played with that at all?
I played with Anchor before when it was new, like
Me
a
too.
year ago.
Me
And
too.
and I enjoyed it. And then I don't remember who it was. Somebody said, boy, I spent a lot of time on that app and it's like getting voicemail. I don't know why I do it. And I started thinking about it that way. And it was like, it is like voicemail.
It is like voicemail. Now they're trying to turn it into radio, which is an interesting switch.
Well, and you can send your podcast or your thing right into iTunes. I mean, there's all sorts of things you can do with that now.
So I'm really intrigued, but being able to turn that into a video, a visual of your audio. I hope that made sense.
I think it did.
Cool. I think that's kind of cool. So I think that is definitely something to play with. And then the last thing, this thing I'm really excited about. So I got a pitch from some service. I'm not going to plug it because I haven't even talked to the woman yet. But I got a pitch from a service saying, "Hey, we saw your image of Hilda. We saw her.
Oh, yeah.
And we saw that you've got all these 4 girls down here of these different poses of Hilda. How would you like to animate her?"
Love it.
That gets me really excited. So I have a meeting with somebody to learn a little bit about, it's a pitch, so we'll see what they're pitching, but ways to actually turn Hilda into a cartoon with my voice over it. That
you know where that will pop more than anywhere? Instagram.
You think?
Yeah, 1-minute videos that are animated that you could do sponsored ones so that it hits more people, but you could put them in your feed. And I think people would go crazy for your branded animations. Absolutely.
I love that idea.
That's where I would do it. Instagram, without a doubt.
Gotcha. Yeah, because my first thought was even just to do a video, like a promo video of explaining who Hilda is, or for the Get Out of Your Own Way program, whatever. But yeah, we spent a lot of time figuring out the different ways that she should look, right? These are the 4 different Hildas. I can't, I shouldn't, I don't know, and I don't want a Hilda. Like, those poses are very, I can't even tell you how long I spent on that. But to be able to animate them.
Go ahead and hold that up one more time. You were on a split screen, so I think they only saw 3.
Sorry.
There they are. What are they again?
This one is I Can't Hilda. So she's the one that tells you can't do something. She tries to fill you with self-doubt. The next one is I Shouldn't Hilda. This is the one that's worried about how everybody perceives you and what everybody else is going to think of you. This is I Don't Know Hilda. I don't know is just racked with indecision and inertia, and she's terrified of starting something. And then there's the lazy old I Don't Want to Hilda. She's the procrastinator who doesn't mind starting something, but she's never going to finish it. So those are the 4 different Hildas. And to be able to take her and get her animated with me doing all of my very, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're doing this kind of Hilda's voices would be everything.
You're going to crush it with this. It'll probably be a pricey endeavor, but you're going to crush it with it.
I'm expecting this to not be pretty. I'm expecting this
Well,
conversation
and you want to do a bulk thing. So you want to do something where you're getting 10 or 20 animations. And I know that's kind of nutty and it'll probably price out kind of expensive. But if you do that, you'll be able to, you know, if you're using one every other day or one a week, then it doesn't get tired, particularly like if you did one a week even. You know, and maybe you sponsored it, then you've got 10 weeks. And by the time you get back to the 11th week, you start at the beginning again. And it won't really get stale, and you will get your best pricing if you get everybody involved. I mean, you know that already.
Well, I have to say that my head went to several different places because at first it was like, well, I could create because what this woman's pitching is you could create animations to promote your products and services. But my next thought was like, what if I created an animated show of Hilda and put that on the O Network or something? So I think big. So my imagination is kind of running wild of different.
You know, I haven't been to your website. I'm sure you have a good website, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you could have if you had a 5-minute video, that thing just auto plays when you go to your website and just captivates people right from the start. I've been told that my website needs a live video right when you land there, or not. It's not going to be live, obviously, but it's going to be a recording of a live, and to kind of just break the ice. And a lot of the people in the video business, they do that because it works. And I don't think you have to be in the video business to do that. I think you could do that with Hilda and have some prominent, large, you know, screen, a frame, you know, just that automatically just plays when people shows up and brings them right in.
I think that'd be so cool because I do have a really sexy trailer, but it's all stills of Hilda, you know, and it's cut very nicely, but she is not animated by any stretch. Ross has a comment in Facebook. He says, what about the education market? Teach kids to have real self-confidence rather than everyone gets a trophy and a ribbon. Russ, I love that. My dream, once I get Hilda to my first dream, which is to make her a household name, my second book is going to be Hilda for teenagers. And really focusing in on, you know, thinking about my 16-year-old niece and talking to her about how Hilda is leading the charge. That's where I really want to take this next. Right now I'm working with adults, and of course I'd have to switch up BS beliefs to something a little softer. But yeah, that's my dream, is to take it to teenagers. And I think being able to animate her, oh my gosh, I'm so giddy about it, as you can tell. It's really exciting.
So do you make it a practice, and I'm sure the answer is probably no, but do you make it a practice to point out Hilda all the time to whoever's doing a Hilda around you, or do you just leave it alone? Kind of like a grammar Nazi. Like, you know, I'm an English major, so I could be a grammar Nazi with everyone that comes around, but I'm not.
The opposite is true. Every single person is watching for my Hilda to come out.
Okay.
Every human that has ever read about Hilda or even heard me kind of talk about her are always like, is that Hilda, Coach Jennie? You know, like the opposite is true. So I am not walking around like drive-by coaching people. That is not how I roll. Now, obviously, I will ask permission if I'm talking to a friend and be like, would you like a little coaching on that? Because I'm hearing something, and, you know, that's fine. But for example, in my coaching practice, we have a rule. You're not allowed to say the phrase, I don't know. Okay. Or any fancy variation of I don't know, like, I have to think about that. Or, ooh, I've never thought of it that way. Or my favorite, that's a good question. Those are all fancy I don't knows. You're not allowed to do that in my coaching practice. Well, my friends and my family and my wife, they know that, you know. But if she says I don't know, I know better than to correct her. But she'll correct herself. She'll be like, I don't know, but whatever. I don't know. I don't know what I want for dinner. So it's a very strange thing how my coaching language is always thrown back at me.
Right. Well, I'll tell you something that I really love about you and your business and everything that you do is the attention to detail. And where I can really point to that is, and I think we talked about this during the podcast maybe, and maybe you talk about it in your book, I just don't remember, but, you know, look, there's countless things that I could point to, but how you've posed the Hilda on the back cover, and each of them has a different meaning, and you could probably talk for a half hour about each different, probably even longer, about each different pose and what it means and how it works on you and how it eats away at you and how it kills your drive or it makes you change your mind, or, you know, and the focus on detail. And I mean, look, you have 11 years of doing this professionally. So, I mean, that is to be expected. But the thing is that it's obvious that even the most minute details you pay great attention to. And I think it speaks volumes about you as a professional and everything you do. And it really is cool to talk to you about it and hear, you know, just hear how you are about your business. It's obvious that you have the passion for it.
I so appreciate that. Thank you for that tremendous compliment. All of those things are true. I take a lot of attention to detail because I take my work very seriously. I don't take myself seriously, but I take my work very seriously. And that's why it took 13 months to produce the book, because I had an idea of what the book was going to be. And I didn't know there were 4 different Hildas. And then once I discovered, you know what, I think there are 4 different Hildas, I tested it. I used live streaming to test it too. I tested it on Blab. I would say, I'm having a Blab today about Hilda and procrastination. Come and talk and let me ask you a bunch of questions. And people showed up, and I would say, I'm recording this so I can use it for my book research. And dozens and dozens of people would show up and share their very intimate stories about how they procrastinated. And it was incredible to kind of realize that there are these different Hildas. There's these different ways we get screwed around. So then my immediate thought was, oh, okay, so we must each have a Hilda.
Right.
That didn't turn out to be true either. Some people have a dominant Hilda who hear I shouldn't Hilda all the time. Other people have, pardon my language, they have an itty bitty shitty committee. That's what I have.
You can say whatever you want on here. You can drop F-bombs. Anything goes on my show.
Yes. All 4 Hildas like to pay me a visit because she's going to pull out all the stops to keep me from moving forward. And the bolder and the bigger I get and grow and try to go after things that are bigger and scarier, the louder she gets. Today I spent a good half hour trying to figure out which of the forms on the Ellen TV show I'm going to fill out this fall to pitch the book to be on Ellen. And while I was doing that, you should have heard how loud Hilda was. You know, here I am, the author of her, and she's still just screaming in my head, freaking out.
I'll tell you what, I don't watch Ellen, but I know who she is, and I know that she does a lot of good stuff, and she would be doing herself a big service by having you come on and show this off and talk to her about what you're doing. That would make a great episode, and I think it would go over very well with her crowd, both live in the audience in the studio and, you know, out in the world that's watching. She's got a huge audience. You get on there and your life will just change, I bet. You know?
Absolutely.
I mean, it sounds like it's rocking right now, but you get on there and it just, you know, that's one of those moments, like in the movie Wall Street, when he gets to walk in and talk to Gordon Gekko, and he says life boils down to a few moments. This is one of them. That's one of them for you right there if you do that.
Absolutely. I am looking for opportunities. So yeah, if you guys are out there and you're thinking, oh, Coach Jennie, you should be on whatever, tell me. I want to be there because my goal is to make Hilda a household name. And the only way I can do that is to put her in front of as many humans as possible. I don't actually care if Coach Jennie is a household name.
Right.
Don't. I care if Hilda is.
Well, your brand is Hilda. Your brand is Hilda, and you're the person behind the brand.
Exactly. And so I kind of look forward to the day that people call me Coach Hilda because it gets confusing. I can't wait for those moments because I want to really get this message out there. Every person I've ever introduced to Hilda instantly resonates with it and is able to open up and talk about the ways that they've held themselves back. It gives us a way to talk about it that's accessible and playful and funny and slightly ridiculous. And so then we don't take it as seriously, including all the BS messages. I apologize. I'm getting on a rampage. You're right. I could talk about this all day long.
Well, you know what? It's good. And we do have to start closing down in a minute. I do have a question for you though.
Hit me.
With the 4 Hildas, this is kind of off the beaten path. You may not have ever been asked this before. I've written a book. And of course, when I've gone back after I've written it, and it happens right when I get the book in my hand, it's like all of a sudden something dawns on me that I should have included, or maybe I missed something or whatever. But is there the possibility of a 5th Hilda that's not one of these 4?
Yes, there's definitely a possibility. It scares the crap out of me, but there's definitely a possibility of another Hilda. I have come to learn that the concept of perfectionism, in my mind, it fit in I don't want a Hilda, but she actually kind of shows up, perfectionism shows up in a few different Hildas in different ways. For example, embarrassment shows up both in I don't want a Hilda's like, oh, I'm just going to be lazy because I don't want to be embarrassed and have 20/20 hindsight, but I shouldn't. Hilda is worried about what other people are going to see and that kind of embarrassment. So yes, I realize that in the second edition of this book, there's going to be a lot more layers to it that I have uncovered just from people who have read the book, studied the book, and reported back.
Well, I mean, that's natural, right? In your study, you're going to put a book out at a point in time where you've reached a certain level of knowledge. And as you develop your craft and you come across other scenarios, there's the possibility for more. So, you know, I think I could see if I wrote this, if this were my book and I had picked Four Hildas, the second I had the book in my hand, I would realize, wait a minute, there's a fifth one that I could have talked about, and I didn't.
Yeah, no, that hasn't happened, knock on wood. William asks a really great question. Is there a dude version of Hilda like Harold?
Oh, yeah, good
Great question. One of the first chapters I have you do is to name your Hilda. I name my broad Hilda. You get to name it whatever you want. And so Hilda has been named so many cool things. Like for the men, Herman is a common one. I haven't heard Harold, but I can see Harold happening. My personal favorite is Mr. Picklebottom.
Okay, that's out of left field.
Out of left field, you can name them whatever you want. But yeah, what I recommend is to not name them after like your mom or your mother-in-law or your dad or your father-in-law.
Yeah,
make it somebody you
wise,
don't know.
Is it? Yeah. Well, I mean, you know what? Like you said, people think that this might be the name of somebody that was at your school. You know, you could do that. You could pick somebody that was at your school. No one would ever know. And it might give you a way of really channeling your energy to defeat.
Exactly. And, you know, my whole thing is just humanize it. Give it a human name of some sort. We've been calling it gremlins and lizards and all these different kind of critters. And because then it's a critter, it's not as human. If this was an actual human being saying this crap to your face, you would have a comeback or two to say to it, right? Or you certainly would spend a lot less time together. That's why I want you to humanize it. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Coach Jennie, it's such a pleasure to have you on. I just love talking to you about your business and Hilda and how to defeat Hilda and all the ways that Hilda can manifest herself in your life to overcome you in your endeavors. Why don't we close it out with you telling the folks where they can find you if they want to learn more?
Yeah, absolutely. Check out CoachJennie.com. It's Jennie with an IE, CoachJennie.com. And if you want to pick up the book, you can learn all about Hilda at HildaTheBook.com. So those are the two places you can find me. And of course, I am Facebook Live and like a crazy person. So my Facebook is all everywhere, Coach Jennie, all of my social media platforms.
Yeah, you're Coach Jennie everywhere. I noticed that today when I was looking around at your stuff. So you're a very easy person to find, and you're very active. So it's not hard to track you down and get more info.
So thank you, Todd. You are the most generous host. I feel like I've been blushing for an hour. So thank you for being so kind and generous and having me on.
You know, I love what you're doing. And, you know, I pick guests that are going to come on here that I admire. And I want you guys to be able to showcase what you're doing. Talk about, like I said, this is you know, primetime shenanigans. Just let's have some fun. We can talk. And you know what? If it's more heavy on business, I don't really care. We just go where it goes. And that's what the whole show's about. I want to thank out to everybody who showed up. Ross Brand, Chris Gack, Nats, Wang showed up. William showed up. William Slays. Is it Slays? I apologize.
I think it's Slays.
Slays or Slays. Yeah, I apologize if I butchered your name, my friend. Thank you all for interacting with us tonight and hanging out with us. It was a great time. We do have to close. I have kids tonight at home by themselves, and I do have a 13-year-old girl who babysits, but I don't like it to get too late, so I got to head over to the house. But thank you all for watching. Monday, we do have guests lined. In fact, the whole week next week is booked up for Live Video Live at 8-ish. So part of the shtick is that I don't let you know who it's going to be. You got to come and find out and hang out with us. So you will find out Monday at 8 o'clock. Can't wait to see you guys. In the meantime, we got the weekend ahead of us. I don't think I'm doing any more live streaming until Monday. So, I might do something impromptu tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see. But until next time, friends, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Jennie, again, thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Had a great time. And Jennie, if you want to hang out with me while I close things down, we will chit chat at the end here.
Sounds good. Bye, guys.
Let's see. Give me just a second and we'll be off.